Jackie Chicken. Jackie Dragon, it is.
Here at the beach. Look at it, the beautiful places. Oh my god, I am so excited right now. We were just walking back here, just about 5 meters up there. We saw that eastern Stony Creek frog. I just came down here and I was shining my torch on these rocks looking for geckos, and I actually saw a snake. And at first I thought it was a golden crown snake, but it's not, it's even rarer. This is the brown tree snake. My first brown tree snake. Boiga regularis. And up in Queensland, these snakes are actually quite common and become a pest because they actually go into your bird cage and eat your bird, and then they get too fat and they can't get out because these guys love to eat birds. But here, down here around Sydney, they're actually quite a rare species for their locality. They're not considered endangered because they're common in other locations, but locally they're in a bit of trouble. And that's because here in Sydney, in this part where these locality of them live, is actually under threat from all the habitat destruction. So being cleared out to make new homes is actually destroying this species' habitat, which is a real shame. And this one is by far not full grown at all. He's only quite small. He'll get probably 5 times the size of this, if that. He's quite a young one. He's very juvenile. And you can see why they call him the brown tree snake, because they are a predominantly arboreal species. See his tongue's going really fast there, just flickering. Look at that. They're nocturnal species, so you'll see them out at night. And they've got really big eyes. Really big nocturnal eyes, even bigger than the green tree snakes. So they sometimes call them the cat-eyed snake. And as well as that, up in the Northern Territory, they've got another subspecies of them. Oh, settle down. They've got another subspecies of them that's got beautiful stripes, and they call them the night tigers. Yeah, here he is. The brown tree snake. Look at that. This one's got a nice coloured belly. Sometimes it gets a bit pinker than this as they grow. Look at his tongue going so fast. He's very curious, but he doesn't see me as too much of a threat at the moment because I am being very gentle with him and careful and not grabbing him hard or anything and quickly. I'm just letting him slide through my hand. He doesn't see me as a threat. So these guys love to eat birds, and they'll also eat frogs and lizards. I'd say he was probably up here cruising around looking for geckos and bats. They will eat bats, little microbats sitting in the little caves. This one would have to eat a baby microbat, but there'll be microbats sitting in the caves. Brown tree snake comes along and whack, he eats them. And these guys, unfortunately, are actually causing a really big problem over on the island of Guam. They've actually become one of the worst invasive species over there. And the reason for that is because they are quite a ferocious feeder and quite a hardy little snake. So they actually got over there, we think, on warships, I think it was. And they actually got over there and they got off the ship. And for some reason, we're not sure why, maybe because of the really easy food source, brown tree snakes on Guam, on average, can grow to almost twice the size of ones in Australia. Because they get a really good feed over there of all the native birds and bats, and they're actually devastating the native bird population over there, which is really sad. Just like the cane toad does to Australia. It's kind of like what the brown tree snake does in Guam. They've actually become a really big problem. And because of the size they get over there, if they bite a small child, like a 5-year-old, it could actually kill them. Because these snakes are mildly venomous, and more venom than a marsh snake, and possibly even a golden crown snake. So they are actually venomous, unlike their cousin the green tree snake. They're not even in the same genus. But they are both colubrids, which means either a non-venomous or a rear-fanged venomous snake, which is what he is. So to actually get a bite and inject venom, he would actually have to chew, so he'd have to get a grip, put my finger at the back of his mouth, and chew down like that. Because with the small lizards and little birds they're catching, it's a bit easier, but with a human hand like that, he'd actually have to chew. And one of this size probably would do nothing to me at all. I probably would barely even feel it. A larger one, an adult size, I'd probably feel a bit of a tingling and my arm might swell a little bit, but nothing too bad at all. This guy's got beautiful colouring. Just bring that light up a little. I hope you can see this, because we are in the dark and there's only torchlight, so I really hope you can actually see what I'm seeing. Here he is. He doesn't have any bulges in him, so he hasn't recently eaten a big meal, so that's probably what he's looking for. If you just look at his belly there, it's kind of a beautiful orange colour. There he is, the brown tree snake, Sydney brown tree snake. One of the locations where they're actually rarer than most of their populations is down in Sydney, and we managed to find one. I was expecting to find something around here tonight, like a golden crown snake. They are slightly more common, but we found something which, considering this locality, is probably even better for here, a bit rarer around here, the brown tree snake. Overall, a golden crown snake might be a bit better for me to find, but this locality, definitely brown tree snake. Look at him if I just leave him here. See how he arches up like that a little bit? But he's not very aggressive at all. These snakes don't attack people, they're quite timid and shy. And there he is. Look at that. What a beautiful snake. What a beautiful snake. The eastern brown tree snake. They call them eastern so they don't confuse them with the brown tree snakes of up north, the night tigers, the northern brown tree snake. These are the nominate subspecies of brown tree snake. There he is. I was just walking along and I saw him. And I saw his snake. And after about 5 seconds I realised he was a brown tree snake, so I dropped my snake hook and just ran, and I managed to go him before he went up there where I would have had to climb. There he is. Look, you can see why they call them the cat-eyed snake sometimes. Got those big bulging eyes and their little pupils in there. Great for nocturnal vision and hunting. Wow. So we'll take a photo and then we'll release him. Alright, so here's our little brown tree snake here. Look at him. He's just gliding through my hands, very calm. Even though it's mildly venomous, nothing enough to put me in hospital or do any lasting damage. Some people have an allergic reaction, but I probably wouldn't. Most people don't. Here he is. He'd probably barely even get any venom into me at this size. He's only very small. Probably mouth wouldn't even be able to fit around me. Look at him. Little brown tree snake. They call them brown tree snake because they are a semi-arboreal to arboreal species. They do spend most of the time climbing the trees, sometimes the rocks, as we saw here. Sometimes they'll also cruise along the ground, but not very often. See how before he was just kind of wrapping his tail around my arm like that to feel secure, like he does on a tree. You get a tail wrapped around a branch and then hangs off it. Like this, he feels pretty safe now, except when I just move my hand. If I just gently move him through my hands, he doesn't feel any need to be scared or threatened. He's just quite curious at the moment as to what's going on. He just wants to check everything out, assess his situation. Here he is. Brown tree snake. And where we actually are now was somewhere told to me by one of my friends called Jesse's Wildlife. Go check him out. And Bailey Turtle Yard from the Wild Boys, check him out as well. They actually told me about this place where they see different kinds of snakes and geckos and all sorts of stuff, and they told me to come and check it out. Unfortunately, the odds were against us today. It's kind of raining, still kind of is, but we managed to find a snake anyway. What an amazing snake, look at him. These is one of my favourite snakes in the world. These are gorgeous. And despite the name green tree snake and brown tree snake, they're not that closely related. One of them's non-venomous and one of them's mildly venomous. They are in the same family, colubrids, but they're in a different genus. And there he is. You can see he's quite skinny. He's got a small head and a skinny neck, so he's quite young. And he'll get a lot bigger than this, trust me. He'll get heaps bigger. that's still amazing. Just look at that. The brown tree snake. One of the things we really wanted to find the most, and we found one. And not even very far down the track either. Brown tree snake. So I'll let him get back on his way to hunting. Put him on his rock there. Let him on his way, and see how they've got so many muscles in them, little muscles, and they can actually grip onto the rocks really well. See, look at that, how he's not falling off. Watch how he just makes his way up there. Nice one. Alright, so I'm down here in a part of Sydney, and I was told to come here by my friend Jesse's Wildlife. Go check him out up there. And another friend, Bailey from the Wild Boys and the rest of the Wild Boys, check them out down there. And my friends Luke from Crunch Time LFB and Daniel from Striker Daniel FTW, go check them out as well. I'll put one of their channels up there. And because you can only have 3 channels in a video, I'll also put a video down there, suggested video from tonight. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, The Animal Catchers. So I'm here with this brown tree snake.